My father hated me. Not the way people use that word casually. Not "I hate Mondays" or "I hate traffic." I mean the deep, quiet, suffocating kind of hate. The kind that lives in a house, sits at the dinner table, tucks you in at night, and somehow still makes you feel like you wish you hadn't woken up that morning. I was 4 years old the first time I understood it. Not because he hit me that day, though he did later. He hit me a lot later. I understood it because of something much quieter. I walked into the living room after school. I was holding a drawing I'd made. It was supposed to be our family, me, him, and my mother. I'd drawn us holding hands. I'd used the brightest colors I had. He was sitting in his chair, watching the news. I walked up to him and said, "Look what I made for you, Daddy." He glanced at it. Just a glance. The way you look at something unimportant before you throw it away. Then, he turned back to the television without saying a word. My mother found me crying in my bedroom 10 minutes later. "He didn't even look at it," I whispered. She pulled me close and didn't say anything. Because there was nothing to say. That was the first time I understood. My father did not see me the way other fathers saw their children. I was not something to be proud of. I was something to be endured. Let me tell you what it was like growing up in my father's house. There were rules. Not written ones. Not the kind parents put on the refrigerator with little magnets. These were invisible rules. The kind you only learn by breaking them. And the punishment for breaking them was never fair. It was never proportional. It was always designed to remind you of one thing. That you were the problem. Rule number 1: do not speak unless spoken to. This sounds old-fashioned. It sounds like something from a movie set in the 1800s. But this was the 1990s. This was a normal house on a normal street in a normal suburb. And in this house, children, specifically one child, was not allowed to have a voice. If I asked a question at dinner, my father would put his fork down slowly. He would look at me with an expression I can only describe as disappointment. Not anger. Disappointment. Like I had just confirmed something he already believed about me. Disappointment. Like I had just confirmed something he already believed about me. "I didn't ask for your opinion," he would say. Quietly. Calmly. That was the worst part. He was never loud about it. He never screamed. He just made you feel small. So small that you started to believe you deserved to be that small. Rule number 2. Do not fail. This one is complicated. Because it wasn't really about failing. It was about giving him a reason. I got a B+ on a math test when I was 9. Most parents would celebrate that. My mother smiled and said, "That's wonderful, sweetheart." My father looked at the paper, looked at me, and said, "What's wrong with you?" Not "Try harder next time." Not "I know you can do better." He said, "What's wrong with you?" Like there was something fundamentally, permanently broken inside me. Like the B+ was proof. I studied for 2 weeks straight after that. Got an A- on the next test. He didn't say a word about it. That's the thing about trying to earn love from someone who has already decided you don't deserve it. Nothing you do is ever enough. Absolutely nothing. Because the problem was never my grades. The problem was never my behavior. The problem, in my father's eyes, was me. All of me. Simply existing. Rule number 3. Never, ever cry in front of him. This was the most dangerous rule. The first time I broke it, like the day I truly broke it, I was 7 years old. A boy at school had pushed me during recess. I came home with a scraped knee and tears on my face. My mother wasn't home yet. It was just me and him. I walked into the kitchen crying. Not loud crying. Just quiet tears, the kind that come when you're trying so hard to hold it together but your body won't let you. He looked up from the table, and something changed in his face. It wasn't sympathy. It wasn't concern. It was something harder. Something that looked almost like anger.
At me.
For crying. For showing weakness. For being the kind of child who came home crying about a scraped knee. He stood up. He walked toward me.
And he raised his hand.
He raised his hands to slap me as though I was a slave. His slave. I want you to understand something. My father was not a monster in the way movies show monsters. He didn't come home drunk every night. He didn't destroy the house. He went to work. He paid the bills. He smiled at the neighbors. He shook hands at church on Sundays. To the outside world, he was a good man, a quiet man, a responsible man. But behind closed doors, in that house, when no one was watching, he was something else entirely. The slap didn't leave a bruise that time. It was open-handed, fast, almost casual. Like swatting a fly. Like I was something annoying that had gotten too close to him. I stopped crying immediately. Not because the pain made me stop, but because something inside me, something very young and very fragile, broke. Quietly. The way thin ice cracks before it gives way completely. I stood there, perfectly still. Tears drying on my face, and I learned the most important lesson of my childhood. Do not show him your pain. He will use it against you. I went to my room after that. Closed the door. Sat on my bed in the dark and pressed my hands against my face until the stinging stopped. My mother came home an hour later. She found me sitting in the dark. What happened? She asked. I looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I lied. Nothing, I said. I'm just tired. She studied my face for a moment. I think she knew. Mothers usually do. But she didn't push. She just kissed my forehead and left the room. And that was the beginning of the silence between us. Not because we didn't love each other, but because there were things happening in that house that neither of us knew how to say out loud. There was one person outside my family who saw what was happening. Her name, well, I won't use her real name. Let's call her the woman next door. She was in her 50s when I was growing up. She lived alone, quiet,
kind.
The sort of woman who brought soup when someone in the neighborhood was sick and never asked for anything in return. She watched me grow up through her kitchen window, not in a strange way, not in a way that made me uncomfortable. She just noticed, the way certain people notice when something is wrong, even when everyone else has looked away. One afternoon, when I was 8, she found me sitting on her back porch steps. I'd walked over without thinking, the way kids do when they need somewhere to be that isn't home. She didn't ask me what was wrong. She didn't say, "Are you okay?" because we both knew the answer. Instead, she sat down beside me, handed me a glass of lemonade, and said, "You know what I think is the bravest thing a person can do?" I shook my head. "Survive," she said. Simply, like it was obvious. Just survive. That's enough. That's more than enough. I didn't understand what she meant then. I was 8. I thought surviving was something that happened in movies, during wars or disasters. Not something that happened on a quiet street on a sunny afternoon. But I think about that word now every single day. Survive. She was telling me without saying it directly that she knew, and that what I was going through was not my fault, and that simply getting through it, day by day, was an act of courage. It was the kindest thing anyone had ever said to me. Here is something I didn't learn until I was 26 years old. Something that changed everything. Something that finally made a terrible kind of sense. My father didn't hate me from the beginning. He started hating me the day I was born. Not because I was a bad baby. Not because I screamed too much or caused too much trouble. Babies don't do anything to earn that kind of hatred. They can't. They don't know how. He hated me because of what my birth cost him. My mother had a very difficult pregnancy. So much complications. Bleeding. Weeks in the hospital. The doctors told my father early on that there was a real chance my mother might not survive the delivery. He was terrified, genuinely terrified. He loved my mother more than anything in this world. She was everything to him. And the idea of losing her because of me, because I was growing inside her, because bringing me into the world might take her out of it, that fear lodged itself somewhere deep inside him. Somewhere dark. Somewhere that never healed. My mother survived.
Thank God she survived.
But the delivery was brutal. She was in the hospital for 3 weeks afterward. She couldn't walk properly for months. There was permanent damage. Damage that affected her health for the rest of her life. And my father looked at me, this tiny, helpless baby, and saw the thing that had almost destroyed the woman he loved. He never said this out loud. Not once. Not to me, not to my mother, not to anyone. But it was there. In every look, every silence, every raised hand. I was the reason his wife was broken. And he could never forgive me for it. By the time I was 14, I had become very good at being invisible. Not physically. I was still there, still in the house, still sitting at the dinner table. But I had learned to take up as little space as possible. To make myself so quiet, so still, so unremarkable that my father's eyes would slide right over me. It was survival. The woman next door had taught me that.
Survive.
School became my escape. Not because I loved learning, though I did, eventually, but because school was the only place where no one looked at me the way he did. Teachers said, "Good job." Friends laughed at my jokes. I could be a person there. A real, full person. Not just a mistake someone was forced to live with. I started staying late. Volunteering for everything. Joining clubs I didn't care about just to have a reason not to go home. My mother noticed. One evening, she came to my bedroom door. I was doing homework or pretending to. I was just sitting there, dreading the sound of his car in the driveway. "You're always here now," she said softly. "At school. After school. It's like you're trying to disappear." I looked up at her. And for 1 second, just one, I almost told her everything. But then I heard his footsteps in the hallway. Heavy, slow, getting closer. I looked back down at my homework. "I'm just busy," I said. She stood there for a moment longer. Then she left. And I spent the rest of that night listening to the silence between his footsteps and wondering if she really didn't know. Or if she knew and simply didn't know what to do about it. I was 16 when the worst night happened. Not the worst because of the hitting. By then, the hitting had become almost routine, something I braced for, something I survived, something I pushed into a box in my mind and closed the lid on. The worst night happened because of what he said. It was a Thursday. Ordinary. Nothing special about it. I'd come home from school, gone straight to my room, and closed the door the way I always did. But something was different that night. Something in the air. My mother had gone to visit her sister for the weekend. She'd left that morning, kissed me goodbye, told me to eat properly and get enough sleep. Normal things. Safe things. But now it was just me and him. In that house. For 3 days. I heard him come home around 7. Heard him move through the kitchen. Heard the television turn on. I stayed in my room, perfectly still, perfectly quiet, hoping the way I always hoped that if I was small enough, he wouldn't remember I was there. Then my bedroom door opened. He was standing in the doorway, holding a glass of something. His face was different that night. Not angry exactly. Something worse. Something that looked like he had finally, after 16 years, decided to say the thing he'd been thinking all along. "You know," he said, looking at me the way a man looks at something he's disappointed in. "Your mother almost died because of you." The words hit me like a physical blow. Harder than any slap. Every time she gets sick, he continued, his voice calm, measured, almost conversational. I think about that. I think about how she was fine before you. And then you came along. And nothing has been the same since. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't look away from him. I don't know why I expected anything different from you, he said. Then he turned and walked away, closed the door behind him like I was a room he was done visiting. I sat there for a very long time. Then I did something I hadn't done since I was 7 years old. I cried. Not quietly, not carefully. I cried the way you cry when something inside you that has been holding together for years finally gives way completely. And no one heard me. Or if they did, no one came. He said it out loud. The thing he'd been thinking for 16 years. If someone in your life ever made you feel like your existence was the problem, tell me in the comments. You are not alone. I left that house at 18. Not dramatically. Not with a big fight or a slammed door or tears at the airport. I simply packed a bag one Saturday morning while he was at work, put it in my car, and drove away. I didn't leave a note for him. I left one for my mother, folded on the kitchen table, and it said, I love you.
I'm okay.
I just need to go.
Please don't worry about me.
I'll call you when I'm safe.
Don't ask him where I am.
That last line. Those 5 words. They were the first time I had ever, in writing, acknowledged that something was wrong. That he was the reason I was leaving. That my mother knew, on some level, and had chosen not to see it. I drove for 6 hours that day. Ended up in a city I'd never been to before. Found a room in a shared house. Got a job at a grocery store within a week. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I hadn't felt since before I could remember. Safe. The silence in that small room, no footsteps in the hallway, no door opening, no voice saying things designed to hollow me out. It was the most beautiful silence I had ever heard. I sat on that narrow bed, in that unfamiliar room, and I breathed. Really breathed. Like I was learning how for the first time. The next few years were about rebuilding. Not quickly. Not cleanly. Healing from something like that doesn't work the way people think it does. It's not a straight line. It's not a movie montage where sad music plays and then suddenly everything is fine. It's messy. It's slow. It's one day at a time, and some days are good, and some days you wake up and the first thing you feel is that old, familiar heaviness. That voice in your head, his voice telling you that you're not enough. That you never were. I went back to school. Got my degree. Got a better job. Moved into my own apartment. Built a life that looked, from the outside, completely normal. But inside, something was still broken. I couldn't let anyone too close. Every relationship I had, friendships, romantic relationships, everything had a wall around it. A careful, invisible boundary that said, you can get this close.
No closer.
Because somewhere, deep down, I still believed what he had taught me. That I was the problem. That loving me was a burden. That anyone who got close enough would eventually see what he saw and leave. I was 26 when my mother called me. Not an emergency call. Just a regular Sunday call, the kind we'd been making every week since I left home. We talked about small things. The weather. Her garden. A show she was watching. And then, near the end of the call, she said something different. I found something today. In the attic. I think you should know about it. Her voice had changed. Something careful in it. Something that sounded like guilt. What did you find? I asked. A long pause. A letter. From your father. It's addressed to you. My blood went cold. When was it written? I asked.
2 years ago, she said.
Before he got sick. I hadn't known he was sick. My mother had kept that from me too, not out of cruelty, but out of the same protective instinct that had kept her quiet all those years. She didn't want me to feel obligated, didn't want me to have to face him again. But he had written me a letter. My father, who had spent 16 years making me feel like I didn't deserve to exist, had sat down and written me a letter. "Do you want me to send it?" my mother asked. Every part of me wanted to say no. Wanted to protect the walls I had spent years building. Wanted to stay safe inside the version of myself that had survived him by refusing to let him in anymore. But some small, stubborn, still alive part of me said yes. "Send it," I said. It arrived on a Tuesday. A plain white envelope. My name on the front, in his handwriting. I recognized it immediately, the sharp, careful letters, slightly slanted to the right. The way he wrote when he was being deliberate, thoughtful. I held it for 3 days before I opened it. 3 days of turning it over in my hands, putting it on my nightstand, picking it up, putting it down, staring at it like it might speak on its own. On Thursday night, I sat down at my kitchen table with a cup of tea cold because I forgot about it, and I opened the envelope. The letter was 2 pages long, written in ink, not pencil. No corrections, no crossing out. Like he had written it once, exactly the way he wanted, and that was that. I'm going to tell you what it said. Not all of it. Some parts are too private, even now. But the parts that matter, the parts that moved me, it started simply. "I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you should. But I'm writing it anyway because there are things I should have said a long time ago, and I've spent too many years being too much of a coward to say them." I stopped reading. My hands were shaking. I kept going. "When you were born, something broke inside me. Not because of you. Because of what your birth did to your mother. She almost died. And I was terrified. I was so terrified that I couldn't look at you without seeing that fear. And over time, that fear turned into something ugly. Something I'm ashamed of. I took my anger out on you. A child. My own child. And there is no excuse for that. None." The next paragraph was the one that broke me. "I want you to know something, and I need you to believe it, even though I have given you every reason not to. It was never about you. It was never your fault. You didn't cause your mother's pain. You didn't cause mine. I caused it. By being weak. By being afraid. By letting my fear become your punishment. You were the most innocent person in that house. And I treated you like you were the guilty one. I am so sorry." I closed the letter, put my face in my hands, and sat there at my kitchen table in the quiet of my apartment and felt something crack open inside me that I had kept sealed shut for over a decade. Not forgiveness. Not yet. That would take longer. Maybe it would take forever. But something. A crack in the wall. Just a small one. Enough to let a little light through. I want to tell you about someone who changed my life. Not romantically. Not at first. This isn't that kind of story, not yet. Her name, well, I won't use it. But she was a counselor. A real one, not the kind you see in movies who asks you how that makes you feel and nods sympathetically. She was direct, honest, sometimes uncomfortable to be around. I started seeing her 6 months after I read the letter. Not because I was ready, but because my best friend, the one person I'd let pass the wall, slowly, over years, had said to me one night, "You need to talk to someone. A real someone. Not me. Someone who can actually help you put yourself back together." So I did. Reluctantly. Terrified. Sitting in that office for the first time, I couldn't make eye contact. Couldn't speak above a whisper. Felt like I was doing something wrong just by being there, just by admitting that I needed help. But she was patient. Incredibly patient. And she said something during our first session that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. "You didn't break yourself," she said. "Someone else did that. Your job now isn't to fix what they broke. It's to build something new. Something that's yours. Something he never touched. something he never touched. I held onto those words like a lifeline. Over the months, I started to understand things about myself that I had never understood before. Why I pushed people away. Why I couldn't accept a compliment without immediately doubting it. Why every time someone said, "I love you," a small voice inside me whispered, "They don't mean it. They can't." All of it traced back to him. To that house. To the years of being told, sometimes with words, sometimes with silence, sometimes with a raised hand, that I was not worthy of love. The healing was slow. Agonizingly slow. There were days I wanted to quit. Days when the old feelings came rushing back and I felt 16 again, sitting on my bed in the dark, listening to his footsteps. But I kept going. Session after session. Week after week. And slowly, so slowly, I barely noticed it happening, I started to feel something I hadn't felt in years. Like, maybe I was going to be okay. I met him at a bookstore. Yes, a bookstore. I know how that sounds. But it wasn't romantic at first. It was just ordinary. The most ordinary thing in the world. I was 28. It was a Saturday afternoon. One of those rare days where the sun was warm and everything felt slightly softer than usual. I was browsing the used books section in the back corner, where no one ever goes, when I noticed him. He was sitting on the floor. Yes, on the floor. Cross-legged, like a kid, with a book open in his lap and a coffee balanced on the shelf beside him. Completely absorbed. Completely unbothered by the fact that he was sitting on a bookstore floor in the middle of the afternoon. I watched him for a minute. Not because he was handsome, though he was, in a quiet, unassuming way, but because of the way he was reading. Like the book was the only thing in the world that mattered. Like he had nowhere else to be, and was completely fine with that. It made me feel something I couldn't quite name. He looked up. Caught me watching. Smiled, not a big smile, just a small, slightly embarrassed one, and held up the book. "It's good," he said, like he needed to justify why he was sitting on the floor. "Must be," I said. "If it's worth sitting on the floor for." He laughed. A real laugh. Surprised, like he hadn't expected it. That was it. That was the whole interaction. I walked away. He went back to his book. But I thought about him for the rest of the day. Not romantically. Not yet. Just, I thought about the way he smiled. The way he didn't seem to be performing for anyone. The way he sat on that floor like the world's expectations had simply stopped mattering to him. I wanted to feel like that. That kind of peace. That kind of ease. I went back to that bookstore the next Saturday. He was there again. Same corner. Same floor. Different book. He looked up when I walked past. Recognized me. Smiled again. "Another good one?" I asked. "Better," he said. I sat down. Not next to him, a few feet away. We didn't talk. We just sat there in the quiet of that back corner, reading our own books, existing in the same space without any pressure to fill it. It was the most comfortable I had felt around another person in years. We became regulars. Every Saturday. Same bookstore. Same corner. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we didn't. And the silence between us was never awkward, it was easy. Warm. Like a blanket you wrap around yourself without thinking. He never pushed. Never asked too many questions. Never made me feel like I owed him something for his time or attention. He just showed up. Every week. Sat on that floor. Read his book. And let me be whoever I needed to be that day. Some days I was quiet. Processing something from therapy. Carrying something heavy that I couldn't put into words yet. On those days, he would simply hand me a cup of coffee without asking, and we'd sit in silence, and it was enough. Other days I was lighter, more present. On those days we'd really talk. About books, about life, about small, ordinary things that somehow felt significant when he said them. One afternoon, about 2 months in, he said something that stopped me cold. We were sitting outside the bookstore, on a bench, sharing a bag of pastries from the cafe next door. The sun was low. Everything was golden. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Okay." "You carry something with you. Something heavy. I can see it sometimes when you think no one's watching. Your shoulders go up. Your face changes. Like you're bracing for something." I felt my chest tighten. The old instinct hide, deflect, change the subject surged up immediately. But I looked at him. Really looked at him. And his face wasn't curious or prying. It was gentle. Steady. Like he was simply saying, "I see you. And I'm not going anywhere." "Yeah," I said quietly. "I carry something." He nodded. Didn't ask what it was. Didn't push. "Okay," he said, and handed me another pastry. That was the moment I knew he was different from everyone I'd ever known. He didn't need me to be whole. He didn't need me to be healed. He just needed me to be there. 3 months into knowing him, I told him about my father. Not everything. Not at first. Just pieces. Small, careful fragments that I handed over one at a time, like someone offering pieces of a puzzle they weren't sure they wanted completed. I told him about the silence in the house. The way my father's disapproval felt like whether something you couldn't escape, just had to endure. He listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't say "I'm sorry," which I was grateful for, because "I'm sorry" always felt hollow when people said it about something like this. Like they were apologizing for something that wasn't their fault. Instead, he said, "How did you get through it?" "One day at a time," I said. Someone told me once that surviving is the bravest thing you can do. I held on to that for years. He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You did more than survive. You're here. You're whole. You built the life. That's not just surviving. That's winning." Winning. No one had ever used that word in relation to me before. Not in this context. Not like I was someone who had fought something and come out the other side. I felt tears prick my eyes. Blinked them back. Old habit. He saw them anyway, but he didn't comment on them. Just reached over and squeezed my hand. Once. Briefly. Then let go. It was the smallest gesture, but it cracked something open in me that had been sealed shut for a very long time. Here is where the story changes. Here is where everything I thought I understood about my father, about why he hated me, about what I meant to him, about the man he really was, gets turned upside down. It happened 4 months after I read his letter. 6 months after my mother told me he was sick. He called me. My father called me. The first time he had contacted me directly in 8 years. I almost didn't answer. My thumb hovered over the decline button for a full 5 seconds. Every instinct told me to let it go to voicemail, to protect myself, to keep the wall up. But I answered. His voice was different. Thinner. Quieter. The illness had taken something from him, not just physically, but something deeper. Something that had always made him sound so certain of everything. "I need to see you," he said. Not "I want to." He said "I need to." Like it was urgent. Like time was running out. "Why?" I asked. My voice was steady, but my hands were shaking. A long pause. "Because I lied in that letter," he said. "I drove to see him. Not because I wanted to. Not because I had forgiven him. I drove because the way he sounded on that phone call, broken, desperate, like a man running out of time to say something that mattered, I couldn't ignore it." He was in a care home. Not a hospital. A quiet place on the outskirts of the city, with gardens and soft lighting, and the kind of hush that settles over places where people come to finish their lives. He was smaller than I remembered. Thinner. His hands, which I used to watch so carefully, always watching them, always bracing, were trembling slightly as he sat in the chair by the window. I sat across from him. The distance between us felt enormous. Not just physical. Years of silence. Years of damage. Years of things that couldn't be unsaid. You said you lied. I said. Not gently. Not unkindly. Just directly. What did you lie about?
He looked at me.
And for the first time in my life, I saw something in his eyes that I had never seen before.
Fear.
Not the controlled, purposeful kind of fear he used to make me feel small. Real fear. The kind that comes when you know you've run out of chances. The letter, he said slowly. I told you it was about your mother. About what her pregnancy cost her. About how I blamed you for that. Yes. That was true. Part of it was true. But it wasn't the whole truth. He stopped. Swallowed. His hands were shaking harder now. The whole truth is that I blamed you because it was easier than blaming myself. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Your mother's pregnancy was difficult, he continued. That's real. But the doctors told me early on that she would be okay. That she would recover. I knew that. I knew she would survive. He looked down at his hands. But I had already decided to hate you. Before you were even born. Because of something else. Something that had nothing to do with your mother. What? I whispered. He closed his eyes. I had another child, he said. Before you. Before your mother. The room went completely silent.
Asson.
He was 3 years old when he died.
À car accident.
I was driving. It was my fault. The words fell like stones into water. Heavy. Irreversible. I couldn't forgive myself, he said, his voice barely audible now. So, when your mother got pregnant with you, when I found out it was a girl, that you wouldn't be him, that you could never replace him, something inside me shut down. I looked at you, and all I could see was proof that life keeps going. That the world doesn't stop. That people have new children and move on. And I couldn't accept that. I couldn't accept that the world could just keep moving after what I'd done. He opened his eyes. Looked at me. You weren't the problem, he said. I was. I have always been. And I spent your entire childhood making you pay for my sins. We sat in that room for a long time. Not talking. Not crying. Just sitting. The sunlight moved across the floor. The clock on the wall ticked. Somewhere down the hallway, a door opened and closed. I didn't know what to say. There was nothing to say. No words big enough to fill the space between what he had done and what he had just admitted. So I sat with it. The way I had learned to sit with difficult things quietly, carefully, letting the weight of it settle without trying to push it away. After a long time, he spoke again. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said. I wouldn't forgive me. I looked at him. This man who had shaped so much of who I was, not through love, but through the absence of it. This man who had broken something inside me when I was 4 years old and spent the next 30 years pretending it hadn't happened. And I thought about the woman next door. About surviving. I thought about my counselor. About building something new. I thought about him, the man at the bookstore. About the way he'd squeezed my hand and let go without asking for anything in return. I thought about all the ways I had put myself back together, piece by piece, year by year, despite everything. And I realized something. Forgiving him wasn't about him.
It was about me.
I don't forgive you, I said quietly. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I'm not going to carry this anymore. He nodded. His eyes were wet. That's enough, he whispered. That's more than enough. I went back to see him twice more after that. Not because we suddenly became close. We didn't. There was no magical reconciliation. No moment where all the years of damage disappeared. But I went because I needed to. Not for him. For myself. The second visit, I brought him a photograph. It was from my childhood, one of the few I had kept. Me at 5 years old, standing in a garden somewhere, holding up a flower like I just discovered something miraculous. I didn't know why I brought it. Some instinct. Some need to show him. This is who I was before you broke me. This is who I still am, underneath everything you did. He held the photograph in his trembling hands and stared at it for a very long time.
You were so small, he said.
Yes, I said. I was. He didn't say anything else, but he kept the photograph, put it on the small table beside his bed, where he could see it. The third visit was shorter.
He was weaker by then.
Sleeping more. When I walked in, he opened his eyes just enough to see me, and something in his face softened. Not into warmth, exactly. Into something more like relief.
You came back, he said.
I came back, I said. And that was all. Meanwhile, something was happening with the man from the bookstore. Not fast. Not dramatic. Slowly. The way real things grow in quiet, in patience, in the small spaces between grand moments. I told him about my father. All of it. The truth beneath the truth. The son who had died. The guilt that had poisoned everything. He listened to all of it without flinching, without pulling back, without looking at me differently. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Thank you for telling me." Not, "I'm sorry," not, "That's terrible." Just, "Thank you for trusting me with this." It was exactly the right thing to say. And I think he knew that. We didn't rush into anything. Didn't define what we were. Didn't have the conversation that movies always show, the one where someone says, "What are we?" and everything changes in an instant. Instead, we just kept showing up. Every Saturday. Same bookstore. Same corner. And slowly, the distance between us on that floor got smaller. A few inches at a time. Until one afternoon, without either of us commenting on it, we were sitting shoulder to shoulder. It felt like coming home. Not to a place. To a person. To the feeling that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, with exactly who you are supposed to be with. One evening, walking home from the bookstore, he reached for my hand. Not dramatically. Just reached over. Slipped his fingers through mine. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. I looked down at our hands, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Safe. Not the kind of safe that comes from walls and distance and protecting yourself from the world. The kind of safe that comes from letting someone in, really in. Past the walls, past the scars, past all the places where I'd been taught that love was something that hurt. The kind of safe that comes from trusting someone enough to be vulnerable. And I did. For the first time in my life, I trusted someone completely. My father died on a Wednesday in March. My mother called me. Her voice was steady the way it always was when she was holding something heavy inside and refusing to let it show.
He's gone, she said.
I sat with that for a long time. Longer than you might expect. Not crying. Not relieved. Just sitting with the weight of it. The complexity of it. The fact that a person can cause you so much pain and still, when they leave this world, leave a hole that no one else can fill. He was complicated. He was broken. He was, in many ways, a terrible father. But he was also the man who wrote me a letter, who sat in that care home chair and told me the truth, the real truth about what had happened between us, who kept my photograph on his nightstand until the day he died. People are not one thing. That's what I learned in the end. There are many things, all at once. The love and the damage. The fear and the guilt. The brokenness and the trying. My father had been all of those things. And I had survived him. I want to end this story the way it actually ended. Not with a bow. Not with a neat, clean resolution. But with the truth. The truth is that healing is not a destination. It's a process. An ongoing, imperfect, sometimes painful process that never fully ends. I still have days when his voice lives inside my head. Days when I hear him say, "What's wrong with you?" And I have to remind myself gently, patiently that he was wrong. That there was nothing wrong with me. That there was never anything wrong with me. I still flinch sometimes when someone raises their hand too quickly near my face. A habit from childhood that my body never fully unlearned. But I also have this. I have a life I built myself. From nothing. From the rubble of a childhood that tried to convince me I deserved nothing. I have a man who sits on bookstore floors and holds my hand like it's something precious. I have my mother, who loved me the best way she knew how, even when that wasn't enough. I have my counselor's words, living inside me like a quiet, steady flame. Build something new, something he never touched. And I have this story, this truth, this proof that even when someone spends years trying to make you believe you are broken beyond repair, you are not. You are never beyond repair. You're just waiting for the right moment to begin rebuilding. And it's okay to take your time to rebuild. You are strong. You are amazing. And you will survive.